Student Tree Gelbman wakes up in someone's room after a noisy night. Upon seeing a guy, Tree realizes she's in a men's dormitory. Suddenly Tree's phone rings. It's her father, but she ignores the call. This guy seemed nice, but Tree doesn't even remember his name. He introduced himself as Carter. Tree hurried to leave. Outside, an environmental activist approached her, offering to save the planet. But Tree wasn't interested. At some point, people on the lawn got caught in the spray of a garden sprinkler, and a nearby car alarm went off. Tree is suffering from a hangover, so she wants to get back to her place as soon as possible. Suddenly some guy faints. Next Tim blocks Tree's way, asking why she isn't responding to his messages. Tree made it clear that she's not obligated to do so. They had one date, and Tree didn't like it. Tree's mood is completely ruined. Some girl waves at her, to which Tree just rolls her eyes. In the women's dorm, the roommate Danielle greeted her with a joke. In her room Tree asks another neighbor, Lori Spengler, if she embarrassed herself a lot yesterday. Lori recalled how Tree danced on the table and did other wild things. Tree doesn't remember any of it, so she doesn't feel guilty. Besides, she's running late for classes at the university. Lori congratulates her on her birthday and gives a homemade cupcake. However, Tree throws it in the trash. In a university lecture, Tree flirts with the professor Gregory Butler. After classes, Carter accidentally bumps into Tree, spilling chocolate milk on her. He was looking for her to return a bracelet she left in his room. Later, Tree went to the hospital. She receives another call from her father and ignores it again. Tree is here to meet someone. Lori, who works at the same hospital, advises her to stop this because such stories usually don't end well. But Tree doesn't care. She walked into the office of teacher and physician Gregory Butler, whom she is secretly dating. But the couple was interrupted by a knock on the door. It's Gregory's wife, who came to visit him. Tree pretends to be just Gregory's student and leaves. In the evening, Danielle reminds Tree that there's a party for her birthday today. At that moment, a short circuit occurs. After getting herself ready, Tree goes to the party, unaware that someone has been following her all this time. At some point, Tree notices a musical jewelry box in a deserted passage. Tree considers it a silly prank. It doesn't scare her at all. When Tree approaches the box, she hears a noise behind her. Turning around, Tree sees a masked man standing in front of her. Tree tries to convince the strange person that she's not afraid. But the person remains silent. So Tree threatens to call the police. After that, the masked person disappears. Tree moves forward, feeling her fear growing. As soon as she turns around, the masked person attacks her. Screaming, Tree starts to run, but the masked person catches up to her and takes her life. In the next moment, Tree woke up in the men's dormitory, seeing Carter. The father called her, just like the morning before. Carter repeated the same words as yesterday. The guy was surprised that Tree remembered his name. She doesn't understand what's happening. The events of yesterday are repeating exactly. Just like last time, the environmental activist approached Tree outside. The people on the lawn got caught in the spray from the garden sprayer. The car alarm went off nearby. Some guy fainted. Tim once again blocked Tree's way, asking why she isn't responding to his messages. Tree is utterly puzzled. Near the women's dorm, some girl waved at her. Danielle made a sarcastic joke again upon seeing her disheveled roommate. Tree said she was having déjà vu. Danielle advised her to drink less. In the room, Lori congratulated Tree on her birthday. This time Tree didn't throw the cupcake in the trash, but she didn't eat it either. Tree tries to make sense of what's happening. At some point, her gaze fell on those same masks being sold at the kiosk. All the events of the previous day continue to repeat. Meeting Gregory, Tree said she wants to talk seriously. Gregory decided that Tree had fallen in love with him, but she wanted to talk about something else. Just like last time, they were interrupted by Stephanie Butler, Gregory's wife. In the evening, Tree watched videos from one of her past birthdays. Tree really misses her mother, who had passed away by this time. Danielle entered the room, reminding her about tonight's party. Again, there was an electricity outage. On her way to the party, Tree saw the masked person who, noticing this, ran away. In the passage, Trish came across the box again and turned back, going the other way. Opening the door, Tree saw a masked person and hit him. However, it turned out to be just her fellow student. All the friends arranged a surprise for Tree. It seemed like she forgot about the nightmare that happened yesterday. Everyone was having a great time, but when Nick, the guy Tree had hit, started flirting with her, Danielle got upset and left. However, Tree wasn't the least bit embarrassed. She followed Nick to the second floor, but he wasn't in the room. Suddenly Tree saw a masked person in the reflection. It was Nick again, who just wanted to scare Tree. Nick had organized a party just for the two of them. At some point, Tree got distracted by angry messages from Danielle. Tree didn't see or hear as the masked person entered and attacked Nick. Tree became the next victim. A moment later she woke up again in Carter's room and screamed. Everything started repeating once more. Tree ran away in horror. This day was exactly the same as the 2 previous ones. Tree can't contain her hysteria anymore and didn't even say anything to Tim, whom she bumped into. In the room, Lori noticed that Tree was in a shocked state. Tree confessed that she's going crazy and tearfully told Lori that she's already lived through this day twice. Of course Lori didn't believe her. So to prove her words, Tree mentioned the cupcake that Lori had baked for her as a surprise. Also, according to Tree's words, today she will perish. Lori thought that her friend was stressed and advised her not to attend classes today. Tree followed her advice, barricading the window in her room to make sure the masked person wouldn't enter. Danielle knocked on the locked door, reminding her about the party. Tree lied, saying she'll come later. Instead, she turned on the TV and was about to eat the cupcake Lori had baked. While searching for the remote, Tree stumbled upon an envelope with an ominous greeting card that said tomorrow wouldn't come. The news said that criminal John Toombs, a wanted fugitive, had escaped. The next second Tree heard a creak and saw that the closet door was ajar. Eerie rustling continued to emanate from everywhere. Tree is sure that she is not alone here. The girl went to check the bathroom when suddenly the TV turned on by itself, distracting her. At that moment, the masked person crept up behind her and attacked. A struggle ensued between them, but Tree lost and woke up in Carter's room with a scream. The guy panicked because Tree started behaving hysterically. She immediately ran away, reliving this endless day again. Unable to endure all of this, Tree was on the verge of a breakdown. Concerned, Carter caught up with her. Tree hugged him and asked for help. They came to a cafe where Tree told him about everything that happened to her. Carter didn't fully believe her story, but still decided to help. In the guy's opinion, the masked person knows Tree well and definitely knows that today is her birthday. When Carter asked who would have a motive, Tree mentioned many names. She's done bad things to a lot of people, so it could be anyone. Carter advised Tree to outsmart the masked person and be the one to catch them first. As there weren't any better ideas, Tree began to spy on each of the suspects. First on her list was Tim. While Tree discreetly observed him through the window, the masked person crept up behind her and attacked. It was evident that this wasn't Tim. Stuck in this endless day, Tree could do crazy things, including dyeing her hair bright colors. Second on her list was Stephanie, Gregory's wife. Tree started watching her, but suddenly the masked person attacked her. Stephanie is also now beyond suspicion. In the new day, as Tree was walking with Danielle from class, she saw that among her things was the same envelope with the creepy card. Tree assumed it was Danielle was the masked man. However, even this assumption turned out to be wrong. It goes on day after day. Every attempt to find out the truth resulted in the same outcome. This time the masked man had a baseball bat. As usual, Tree woke up in Carter's room. She was about to leave when suddenly she felt a severe headache and lost consciousness. Frightened, Carter and his roommate called an ambulance. Tree ended up in the hospital. She was semi-conscious and saw the masked person entering the ward. But it turned out to be Carter, who came to visit her. Suddenly there was a power outage. When the lights came back on, Gregory entered the ward, saying that visiting hours were over. Before leaving, Tree sincerely thanked Carter. Later, Gregory told Tree that judging from her MRI scans, she had suffered a serious injury. Tree wanted to leave, but Gregory assured her that she was completely safe here. Ultimately, Tree agreed to stay and asked Gregory to bring her a soda. But it was part of her cunning plan. When Gregory returned to the ward with a can of soda, Tree was already gone. She stealthily sneaked into Gregory's office to steal the keys to his car. Upon seeing a mask in the locker, Tree was shocked. So the masked man had been Gregory all along. Tree realized she had to leave urgently. In the hallway, she ran into Gregory. Suddenly the masked person appeared behind him and attacked. Tree rushed to escape, the masked person pursuing her all the way to the parking lot. Tree hid, but the pursuer spotted her. Tree hid again, trying to find Gregory's car. This gave her away, but she still managed to get into the car. The masked person caught up with her, and at that moment Tree hit the gas pedal. She drove forward without stopping, managing to break this vicious cycle. Tree was screaming with joy mixed with hysteria when suddenly a policeman pulled her over and asked for her driver's license and car papers. Tree tried to explain that she was in danger, but the officer decided she was drunk. Tree didn't mind being arrested because that was the safest option for her. The officer handcuffed her and put her in the police car. At that moment, a car came straight at him. The masked person found Tree. Now she was doubly helpless, as she was handcuffed and locked in the police car. The masked person approached. Tree yelled that he was a coward for not showing his face. The stranger spilled gasoline and threw a lit candle from a birthday cake. An explosion occurred. Tree woke up again in Carter's room. She had been here many times before, so she knew exactly where everything was, which surprised Carter. Tree left, but Carter followed her, wanting to help somehow. Tree indifferently said that she'd been living the same day for a long time. To confirm her words, Tree began to predict the future. The young people went to a cafe. Tree doesn't want to have anything to do with relatives since her mother passed away 3 years ago. By the way, she and Tree were born on the same day. Tree believes that she deserves everything that is happening to her because she is a very bad person. Carter advised her to change and become better, but Tree isn't sure if that will help. With each new day, she feels weaker. Perhaps her attempts will soon come to an end. The news was talking again about the dangerous criminal John Toombs. At that moment, Tree realized that he was the masked person. He had been right there all along. Tree rushed to the hospital, knowing that the criminal was supposed to escape from there tonight. But he was already waiting for her. Tree started running, the criminal chasing after her. After cornering her, he took off his mask. It was indeed John Toombs. Unexpectedly, Carter appeared and attacked Toombs, paying for it with his life. Toombs again chased after Tree, but she outsmarted him and knocked out. However, Tree couldn't finish what she started. If she breaks this time loop right now, Carter won't come back to life. Tree voluntarily passed away, waking up again in Carter's room. Seeing the guy alive and well, Tree hugged him. She wants to try to make up for everything that happened this day. From now on, Tree treats everyone around her kindly. When she met Tim, Tree cheered him up. As for herself, she realized she was in love with Carter, who had saved her life the previous day. Entering her room, Tree apologized to Lori for everything and offered to start over. Lori was always ready to help her, but Tree hadn't appreciated it before. On the same day, Tree broke up with Gregory, deciding that it would be the right thing to do. After all, Gregory had a wife who loved him. Later, when she met Carter, Tree kissed him and invited him to celebrate her birthday together in the evening. Of course, Carter gladly agreed. Gathering her determination, Tree went to her father and tearfully apologized for everything. Tree misses the mom very much and thought that if she hid from this day and her father, it would get easier. But it only got worse. Now Tree realized her mistake and wants to stop running away from herself. In the evening, Tree planned to confront Toombs face to face and break the time loop. She ordered the puzzled guard to call for backup, saying that Toombs was about to escape. Immediately after that, Tree entered Toombs's ward, who pretended to be asleep. But Tree knew he wasn't sleeping. A struggle ensued between them, and Tree emerged victorious. In the evening, Tree lit a candle on Lori's cupcake. She spent this birthday with the person she truly loved. Before blowing out the candle, Tree made a wish for tomorrow to come. However, it didn't work, and she woke up again in Carter's room. Tree refuses to believe it, because she did everything right. Returning to her dormitory, Tree began to hastily pack her things. If she can't stop this, then all that's left for her is to run. When Lori handed her the cupcake, Tree suddenly realized the horrifying truth. If she woke up again in the repeating day, it meant that she perished in her sleep. There was no one else in the room except Lori, which meant she was the one who did it. The cupcake was poisoned. Tree had never eaten that cupcake before, so Lori had to explore other options. She freed Toombs to get rid of Tree. Lori denied everything, calling Tree insane. So Tree suggested that Lori eat the cupcake herself. When Lori refused, Tree said she would take it to the police. However, Lori didn't let her leave. It turned out she was in love with Gregory, but he consistently chose Tree over her. A struggle broke out between the two girls. Hearing suspicious sounds, Danielle knocked on the door, but Lori assured her that Tree had just stumbled. In the end, Tree managed to neutralize Lori. After a while, it was all over the news. Tree finally managed to break this vicious cycle. She answered her father's call, offering to meet up. Now Tree's room is sealed as it's a crime scene. Carter suggested that she stay in his room. Now Tree is no longer afraid to wake up in the dormitory. Carter said her story reminded him of Groundhog Day. He was surprised to learn that Tree hadn't watched that movie. The next morning, everything repeated. Tree was horrified, but it turned out that Carter was just joking. Now life will continue. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel not to miss more exciting new products. Also, the authors will be pleased if you leave your opinion in the comments.